Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Hudak. All throughout Saints camp, we've been very pleased to have Maddy Hudak join us each day to give us our Saints camp report. She was down there again today as the Saints are back on the practice field, and Maddy joins us now on the show. We appreciate it as always. Maddy, how are you?
I'm good. It's always a good day to watch Michael Thomas keep getting better.
Okay, so let's start there, obviously. I had meetings this morning, like son back in school, meeting with the teacher, all that stuff, and I'm scrolling Twitter, and it's just like, touchdown Michael Thomas, touchdown Michael Thomas. Like, okay, set up what they were doing today and how he had a big day.
I mean, he had 3 touchdowns thrown by Andy Dalton. It's really hard to say, that he's just not this standout at this point. He had a really good fade over Justin Evans, and at the same time, kind of snagging a lot of passes on the sideline. Bradley Roby had really strong coverage against him. That's kind of the most fascinating part. It's not the situation where he's separating so much as he's just a big physical guy, and you can guard him, and you might actually be in phase and close enough to try to knock the ball out, but he's just so imposing at his size that there's really just no way to guard him. They've tried, Roby, they tried a Debo against him, thought Pete Werner, try to go up against him as well. That ankle doesn't seem to be bothering him whatsoever at this point. And him and Dalton, very solid connection.
I did ask you yesterday about Andy Dalton, and I'm curious now, having another day to see him, what you thought about Andy Dalton.
I think Andy Dalton, believe it or not, is a luxury for the Saints to have. The fact that Jameis Winston went down, and really, quite honestly, nothing has changed on the offense. He threw 5 touchdowns today.
Wow. He's
very decisive. He's quick at getting the ball out. He seems to understand the offense really well, and he's come in relief in these situations before. He came in Dallas and in Chicago. He's also been a starter who's just taken his team to the playoffs. But him and Thomas just finding each other. Jameis Winston should be good to go by week 1, but it's one of those things that if he's not, and I'm not saying that, I really think the idea is that it'll be absolutely fine, but it's a very different feeling than, who out of Taysom Hill, Trevor Siemian, and might it be Ian Book kind of thing last year, kind of like the wide receiving group not really having a standout. Andy Dalton is someone that you're really lucky to have as your backup quarterback, and it really, if nothing else, also shows how valuable Michael Thomas is with these backup quarterbacks that the Saints have now seen several times in the last 3 seasons.
Maddy, I'm glad you brought up the receiving core. Thomas is a given. I think we know what Jarvis Landry will be. People are excited about Chris Olave. What about a guy like Deonte Harty, who at times has been really important to this team? How's his camp going so far?
So he's had a fascinating battle with CJ Garner-Johnson. I'd say it's kind of rivaling, that Thomas and Debo back and forth. They're both so quick initially that just chasing him around on the field is really difficult. It's really easy for him to kind of get lost in a crossing route. I always think that he's been a really formidable receiver. You think back to, before the Buccaneers game where they basically altered their game plan around Deonte Harty because they could not stop him. The only issue is that he's a little bit undersized, but at the same time, he's not going to be taking on, that same workload and responsibilities of last season. You think about, I guess Marquez Callaway was considered wide receiver 1, but he doesn't draw any type of coverage that Michael Thomas would, or Chris Olave, or Jarvis Landry for that matter, or really Taysom Hill for that matter either. So when he's going up against, double coverage, really big physical guys, that's where I get worried about his durability. But he is the fastest receiver on this team, and that works really well with someone like Jameis Winston, who we know can launch it pretty deep.
Yeah, I'll flip to defense in a second. One more on the offensive side. I did want to ask about Taysom. We heard from him yesterday, and he's talking about taking it easy with the ribs. Anything that we've been able, and he also, Maddy, kind of talked about the transition and learning tight end. What have you been able to notice from Taysom and sort of what they're asking him to do?
I'm not sure what else there is for him to learn,
Right.
because when he's lined up there, you can just see the physical mismatch. I actually went and looked up his size compared to Adam Trotman, he's 6'2", he's listed at 221, but that was his listed weight last year when he definitely was a lot smaller, losing that upper body weight for competing for quarterback. Adam Trotman is 6'5", 253, and that's really surprising to me because Taysom is just such an imposing guy, and more importantly, he's so fast for someone his size. He's so quick off the line of scrimmage. He recorded a touchdown today, and it was like you blinked and you missed him. And you really, I'm not making any type of comparison to Jimmy Graham, but the last player I can think of where it does not matter if you're three people around him, kind of like George Kittle dragging Marcus Williams by his face mask down
Please don't
the
remind us.
sideline that one game. Yeah, well, I'm from San Francisco, so it haunts me. But like Taysom Hill is, New Orleans has had a tight end problem on defense these last few years, and I really think opposing teams are going to have a tight end problem finding someone that physically matches up with someone that's as quick and as imposing as Hill.
She's on Twitter at Maddy Hudak _94. You can find her written work at Saints Wire. It's MADDYHUDAK _94. Let's flip it over to defense. I've been here, Maddy, a lot focusing on linebacker because I think that's just continued to be a growing concern. Pete Werner was out today. What can you tell us?
Yeah, so it looks like he's suffering from a groin injury, according to Dennis Allen after practice, which is something that I believe was bothering him earlier in camp. It's just kind of given us, I think we were talking about that linebacker depth, and is it sufficient behind Pete Werner and Demario Davis? Kind of like, they were immediately forced to evaluate the quarterback room. That kind of happened at linebacker, and Caden Ellis stepped in really well today. He had 2 run stops in Alvin Kamara and a pass breakup on Lucas Kroll. Every time he comes in, I notice him. Him and P.J. Williams last season would blitz quite often together. I think that he is really a solid depth piece. Kiko Alonso's kind of flash in the pan that it was. I've always thought that Caden Ellis is probably, the third best linebacker out of that core. So granted that they only run 2 linebackers out there, and they have been running, I mentioned that, more base with 3 linebackers these last couple of weeks. And it just kind of looks like that's a very easy adjustment to slot in Ellis into Warner's role. Who, Dennis Allen did speak really highly of having a more, heavy coverage role as a will linebacker this season. But their run defense, a lot of it was run defense today. And it's not just the linebackers. The secondary is really eager to stop the run. So I genuinely think, not knowing really what the trajectory for Werner is, I am really excited to see what he goes into this season. But I'm a little more comfortable with that room today than I was yesterday, by that sense.
Do you believe, we saw DeMarco Jackson obviously is going to IR. His rookie season's over. That's for those that don't remember, rookie 5th-round pick out of Appalachian State. Do they have enough numbers there, Maddy, or do they need to add another body sometime when cuts start happening or via trade or something along those lines?
It would be a position to watch, absolutely, because, like I said, Caden Ellis is a good option, but if Pete Werner's out for a long time, is Caden Ellis, ready to step into a full starting role? We've never really seen him do that. And really, Zach Vaughn is kind of just an invisible player to me at this point. I'm not sure if he's out there or not, to be quite honest with you. And Andrew Dowell and Chase Hansen hold up fine, but with Carl Granderson actually coming on really strongly at that defensive end role, kind of making up for those concerns, with health with Davenport and Peyton Turner, I would kind of agree that linebacker would be the one that if there's someone that hits the waivers, if there's someone that gets cut, this is definitely, just bringing in bodies and seeing how they fit with this defense, because there's a lot of different fits, which means that, there are a lot of different linebacker types that I think they could work with.
Maddy, you said Granderson having success. Is Granderson starting opposite Cam Jordan right now? How's the DN rotation working?
Yeah, he's been taking first-team reps. He took them all today. He blew past Trevor Penning for a sack today and beat Hurst on another rep as well. He mentioned a couple days ago that he had put on a lot of weight, something like 20 or 30 pounds, and you can tell. I mean, he's been on this team for a while, and what he offers that Turner and Davenport don't is durability. And that's, sometimes when it's not a good player, it's not the best idea, but Granderson has shown capable of stepping into that role. David Onyemata had a really good camp today. And then Tano Passanyoung to me has always been someone that can slot in wherever. But with Turner and Davenport not getting much looks in camp, it has allowed someone like Granderson to really make a case to be that starter.
She is Maddy Hudak, again on Twitter at Maddy Hudak _94, MADDYHUDAK _94, giving us our Saints camp reports for as long as the Saints are in camp. They are off on their travel day is going to be, help me here, I'm looking at it. They're going to practice tomorrow.
I believe it's Friday is their travel day. Yeah, they practice tomorrow and then travel to Houston Friday.
Okay, so they have I'm looking at it now. They have a walkthrough Friday, travel to Houston. They'll play the Texans on Saturday. So we'll look forward to chatting again tomorrow. One final practice before the Saints head over to Houston. Maddy, we appreciate it. Thanks as always.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.